One. Good afternoon. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, Chef.
We out here. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Y'all have been running up these YouTube numbers. We so appreciate you. Again, if you're listening on like Apple Podcasts, just send us a little like and subscribe on YouTube because we're close enough to maybe start monetizing, which is cute. I don't even think we'll do that, but it's cute. And also you can buy us a coffee, you can leave that in the description. And there is merch as always. I have my teacup. I'm obsessed with it. It's my little commuter cup. Um, because I like the tea I drink, it'll be like cover it up and then make sure blah 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 blah. And so when I put the lid on it and then I'm actually taking the lid off now. It's like this mint tea I've been drinking a lot of. So anyway, merch is there. Really excited because Tara from Port Misery and I have both been chatting about the GH Fan Club weekend. So now that we're done with church announcements, Tanya, how are you? How are you doing? Oh,
Um, I'm doing okay. It's been a chill week. I have spent practically the whole 4th of July weekend at my place, which is fine because I have spectacular views of the
oh, the
Oakland
fireworks.
fireworks.
Oh, yeah,
Now,
yeah.
half the community finds it super traumatizing, which if you're not used to it, it's understandable because they sound literally like, not that I know what a bomb sounds like, but it sounds
But it
like
sounds
it,
like that.
like it sounds like that. And they were particularly popular around my neighborhood. I live in
Yep.
kind of deep east Oakland, San Leandro, in the flatlands, and my apartment kind of runs lengthwise, and on the balcony side, I saw a bunch of fireworks. But then if you leave my apartment out the front door, there's kind of a walkway, and then there's kind of like a huge open area where you can see into the hills. And in the hills, there were fireworks. So I was actually kind of going back and forth through the back of my
Oh,
apartment to the front of my
yeah.
apartment, kind of watching it. But it
Hmm.
went on until like 2 a.m. in the morning. But
Yes.
so
Yes.
I hosted my friends. We were watching my latest show, Iron Hearts,
Oh,
which was
yeah. Hmm.
written by Shanaka Hodge, which is she's kind of a daughter of the Oakland community,
Yeah.
and she wrote it. And it's also produced by Ryan Coogler, who's from Oakland. So
A lot
we
of
all
town
kind of,
business. Absolutely.
so we all had to watch it, and it was amazing. For those of you who are Marvel and comic fans, please watch. And so we were watching the series, and we made nachos. We made barbecue nachos, chicken barbecue nachos, which I've never had. And so when
Oh,
I heard about it, I was like, barbecue chicken and nacho sauce? That
absolutely.
was not on.
Mm,
But no,
sounds so
girl,
good.
it is so good. Oh my
It
God.
sounds so
Oh, so
good.
good. I was like, yum. So yeah, so I tried something new, hosted people, and watched fireworks
Oh, that's really cute.
all weekend. So yeah.
That's
And not
really
to
cute.
say that we were actually celebrating the 4th of July. We were just
No, but celebrate a day off,
enjoying
family,
enjoying the
friends.
festivities. Yeah. So because right now this
Hmm.
country is just going to heck. But anyway,
Every day. This anyway.
every day.
I won't even get into that. I will say,
Yeah.
I also had a lot of family time the last few days, last few weeks.
Hmm.
So we've had some sad stuff happen, but it's been really, great to like kind of like get together as a family. And like, I'm just
Hmm.
like always surprised by how resilient people are. So it's been really
Yes.
beautiful. I actually am one of the people who do not like fireworks, but from my mom's house, I'm in Milwaukee still, so like you can see the lakefront fireworks, which
Hmm.
are really huge. And my favorite Oakland fireworks story is so I live in like a pretty heavily Asian neighborhood in Oakland. So I remember it was like Lunar New Year, and I didn't know they like shut off fireworks. And so we have a Malaysian household, like Black and Asian folks in the household, but the Asian folks in my household were gone. This is like a whole joke we had. So like
Uh-huh.
me and the other Black person, we hear the Lunar New Year fireworks, have no idea what they are. I thought the neighborhood was under siege. I thought it was Boys in the Hood outside. I didn't know what was like. It was smoky. I was like, is it a gang war? What is happening? And then Sandra, who used to be on the show with us, was like, y'all are hilarious. 'Cause if I would have been home, I would have been able to tell y'all like what it was. We literally were like hiding in the basement. Like
Oh,
definitely thought
wow.
it was under siege. I was like,
Yeah,
gotta get them cultural exchanges together.
right. Yeah. I mean, I think I was having a conversation with my one of my best friends, and we are like, has it always been like this, or is it just like a
Yes.
new phenomenon? And we were like, well, we were thinking it kind of really started during the pandemic because
Yeah.
usually, usually people would go someplace and then watch it, and then during the pandemic, we couldn't go anywhere, and so people just started using them in their neighborhoods, and so now it's just like a phenomenon. It's crazy. I'm
Yeah. I
sure,
remember
like
it
I think,
beforehand.
yeah. Do you
Yeah.
remember was it like that beforehand? Because I don't remember.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was cray in Oakland.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's your Oakland knowledge and updates. For, for
we should
anybody
actually
who
have that be a segment.
is your
Basically,
Oakland
we
update.
have the church announcements, then we have the how we're doing this week, and then what's going on in Oakland.
But let's talk about Port Charles. It was like a kind of slow-ish week, but I got things I'm really excited to get into. So I'd love to
Right.
hear like who are your performers of the week?
I actually didn't have any until I talked with you prior to we started, and I do want to give a shout out to Adrian Achando, who's playing Marco, who had some
Mm,
great, who had plenty of scenes this week to you know, test his acting skills with. He
hmm
had, he had an almost love scene. He had definitely had a romantic scene. He had scenes where he lost his mom, and so he had the grief scene. And he had
hmm
that I'm angry at Sonny, so I'm gonna accuse him of something scene. Like everybody had something to do with being mad at Sonny about this week, and
Yeah,
so he got to test those waters, and so the heartwarming scene with his dad. So good
he did a great
job,
job.
Adrian. Yeah, so good job. Anybody else?
I will
Always.
say, I do want to say about Adrian, 'cause I really enjoyed his scenes this week, and I
Mm-hmm,
thought it was really always tough to connect with like homophobic Maria Santos,
mm-hmm.
even though we love that actress, like
Ava
we
LaRue.
love love love
Yes.
that actress, but that
Mm-hmm,
character, and we'll get higher and more into it, like was really difficult to connect with, and so
mm-hmm,
I felt like his scenes grieving her were one of the first ones where I kind of cared about her a little bit. And not
mm-hmm,
only just like not necessarily about her, but about like his loss of her.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had our Ava LaRue send off. So thank you for your service, Ava LaRue. We're sorry that you had to have such a horrible character, but
Terrible.
we love you and we hope to see you again in some other shape or form. Maybe you can go to Beyond the Gates and get a real
Ooh,
great character. That would be awesome. So yeah. And then also, I mean, I adore Gio. Just like watching right now.
yeah.
I think he's great. I think he did great with the scenes with um, Jane Elliott. So yes.
hmm Yeah, agreed. And
Hmm.
I think, he has been thrown into it for real with like
Yes.
big actors.
Hmm.
Like big names. Like he's had to hold his own. He's had to shoulder a storyline. And this is an example of when you have a character that people are pretty lukewarm on, but if you give them something to do and they do it well, you turn around how people feel about the character.
Oh
And
yeah.
so excited to see what he does, excited to see him and Emma. I mean, it's just I don't know what lessons I think that we've talked about this before. GH writers
Hmm.
sometimes always take the wrong lesson. And so I hope they take the right lesson for why Geo
Right.
is working now.
Also, shout out to where it gets in. He also had some great emotional scenes, especially
Always.
recounting some of the pain he's gone through. Well, Michael has gone through as a fire victim and how that affects him still physically and psychologically. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I posted up, I cut like a little clip of us giving him Performer of the Week and he on our Instagram and he commented and said it was kind. And he just seems to be like
Hey.
very, yeah, he seems to be very like genuine and excited to be in the role. I think we talked a little bit about, I watched him on Stephen Bradford's podcast and he talked about
Hmm.
how he didn't know for sure if he was going to be accepted by the audience and he like didn't log on to see what people were saying and then finally he did because somebody was like no you need to look and so he's been like really accepted with open arms yet again when you have a
Hmm.
story that needs you this like people always will ask for folks to come back and then sometimes it's characters I like but if
Yeah.
you're not going to put them in a story then what are you doing like Lucky, you know what I mean? I love
Right.
Lucky,
Yeah.
but what do we do with him?
Right.
So yeah, these are the I again the lessons. Take the lessons of giving people good story and things to do that we want to see.
Hmm.
Let's
Yep.
get into it. You try to talk about it. Let's get into Daisy's christening. So little Miss Daisy had her christening with her godmother Felicia, her godfather Jason. And we knew a bunch of other mob shenanigans were happening in the background. So I couldn't help but remember when Jocelyn was christened, and that's when Sonny shot um Dante as like his cover. So I was like,
Hmm.
nothing that is exciting happened, but
Right.
um we did it kind of was the backdrop again of like mob shenanigans.
Hmm.
So Natalia runs up because for whatever reason, and I had to go back to watch this, she believed that Sonny was gonna go with her to Belize. And I was like, did he say
Right. No, I mean, I think
that?
there was a thing like I'm going to go with you to get you set up, but
I don't even think
I
it was
never
that.
something like very brief conversation that they had. And I'm like, but I never took that to mean I am going to go with you to Belize. Maybe he was going to go with her to the airport, like, but go with her to Belize and just like live together and get her. I'm like, lady, first of all, this was my hot take. You are lucky that Sonny decided to let you live because normal
Because
mob
Jason was
behavior,
like,
like normal mob behavior is to get rid of the person who is going to testify against you. That's not even on GH. That's just normal mob culture. Understood. So she should have known
right.
she was very lucky to actually get this chance to relocate. And her reasoning was very silly. She's like, well, I don't know anybody. And how am I going to do that? I'm like, you came to GH not knowing anybody. What the hell? It's just
Yo,
like,
nobody likes you here. So you
right.
could go and make a whole new life for yourself and be very comfortable in Belize. If somebody handed me that option right now, and I got a lot of people who like me, I would have to think about it. Like, maybe.
You know what? I would go. Like if it came with a place to live, a beautiful place like Belize,
Right,
and money, you ain't got
right.
to work, and you're just chilling, I would totally go. I'd be like, hey, y'all can come visit me anytime. I
Or,
would
right. Or
totally,
like, somebody should have sent her
right,
something somewhere like Bali with no extradition so people could go visit her anytime they wanted to.
whatever. I would still go. Like I'm just picturing it right now. It's like I'm thinking all the books I could just chill and read and
Listen,
be
you could bike ride whenever you wanted
bike
to.
ride. Oh my God, the beautiful view. I would so go.
We're
She's
like, damn,
tripping.
can somebody get us some Belize right now?
Right?
It was just like a very weird, but it also, I think, just like really landed that they never knew what to do with this character
Mhm.
because you weren't even one of Sonny's brunettes enough to
Right.
believe that he would go somewhere with you. Y'all
Right.
never were together. Y'all were like kind of friends. It just never gave that. So the fact that she thought that he would go somewhere with her, the fact that he even was like No, we gotta send her away because she's been good to me.
Yeah,
What? And then on top of that, we have her going to like the thing that you were in trouble for, or in that you were leaving for, you still went and told Brooklyn that it happened.
right.
So there was like, what are we doing? I mean, I guess we know they wanted to like set up this next piece of it, but it never gave, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. She's not loyal at all. She
No.
should have been counted herself lucky, and then instead she goes off and takes all these pills and kills herself. I'm like, girl.
Well, but my sense was that it was an accidental overdose,
Yeah. Yeah, I think
right?
because she didn't do it all at once. She just kept going back to it. Like in her,
Yeah.
she took the tranquilizers and then she drank, and so the drinking just kind of made her be stupid and be like, "Oh yes, I can have another one after." But
Yeah,
I
it's
wrote
just
down, but I was like, the guards were like super stupid because I was just like, dude, if someone had told me I needed to take a shower, I'm like, you've been walking around all day and now you want to go and take a shower. Pack your bags. Let's go.
you can shower in
Like,
Belize, babes.
you can shower and Belize.
Like,
So he was not on his job and he got caught. He was under surveillance. Mm-mm.
so silly. So, okay, so let's get into that. So, um, at the christening, there's obviously Chase there. She crashes out.
Right.
And then Chase overhears this whole situation. And so he uses kind of his positioning in this family um event to like call in and like tell on Sonny. I was like a little, I don't know, like I get it as a cop, but it also is just like, yeah, Chase and Brooklyn have not talked about really Brooklyn's relationship with Sonny. And Chase actually also lives in a house with Jason. So just like the mob kind of crossover that we haven't talked about, or that they haven't talked about on screen, like just became more apparent to me.
Yeah, it made me wonder, it's like if you're in that family, are there some like under like rules that are understood on things you can and can't do? Like if you witness Sonny doing something, that means you're in a family event. Are you allowed to tell? Are you allowed to snitch? Like I can see when Dante only really turns on his cop hat when there's actually a murder and he's there officially on the scene. But I've
Hmm.
never seen me like, oh yeah, I was at my dad's house and he was talking with Jason. He doesn't go
Not
and
since he's
call.
had a
Right,
relationship with him. No, no, no.
right, but no, but like he's not doing that. So is there like some understood rule that you're not supposed to be doing stuff like snitching on Sonny when you're at a family event? And did Chase know about it? I don't think so.
Yeah, I feel like it's not that for Chase
Yeah,
because Chase never, even like being on Sonny's case, it's just never spoken of as this
right.
like conflict of interest. It's just never spoken of that way between him and Sonny.
Yeah,
So I just found that to be interesting. So anyway, he calls the ADA, or yeah, the acting DA calls Anna. They show up to the hotel, to your point. She's taking these pills. Sonny's guards had ran off. And so now we're left with this question, or we know, but the everybody else is left with this question of, was this foul play or did she overdose on purpose? Or, I mean, actually, it's
yeah,
like, did she overdose on purpose? Was it an accident, or was it foul play? All of those are
yeah,
questions that we now have looming.
yeah. I
Yikes.
was just like, I mean, the whole situation. So we were just talking about the Natalia of it all. And then at the same time, we have Christina and her hijinks. Can we talk about that? First of all, so what happens is that when they finish the christening and they go back to the Quartermains to celebrate, and Christina can't go because she gets a call from the manager, and then the manager says that I can't come in today. I need you to open Charlie. So she leaves early and goes to Charlie's and finds herself a victim of fire. So here's my thing. First of all,
Okay.
lady, she's in the fire. You know, when you're in that kind of situation, maybe you get into panic mode. Maybe you don't know how to think or whatever. But she decides to be trapped when, even though there was a back door that she could have left
Yeah.
out of. And the fire wasn't that huge. So if she had thought quickly, then she could have ran and got out of the fire. Instead, she's standing there observing it and then decides to use the fire extinguisher, which made it go bigger. And so then she's effectively trapped. There's that. And then, but then what happens is that Marco finds, as he's driving to go and visit Natalia, he sees the fire. He makes a detour and rescues Christina. She was too afraid to go through the fire by herself, but Marco from the outside goes through the fire and then takes her through
Well,
the fire.
so backing up,
Yeah,
Marco is with Lucas because we jump stories.
yeah,
So Marco is
yeah,
with Lucas. Marco sees this fire. I think it's hard because I do understand like how silly it looked. I think that they were I try to give the benefit of the doubt with like the limitations around like budget, whatever, because
yeah.
what the point I think they were trying to make is that Marco had this blanket and then was able to like run her through the fire in the back door, and that maybe there was some fire in the back too, because we had seen earlier that somebody had came through and doused the whole thing with gasoline.
Um,
So I don't know about how that all worked. But it did look very, very silly. Having that big of a fire and then trying to do like extinguish it also looked very silly. And
yeah,
she even said once she got out, oh, it smelled like gas. So if it's like it smelled like gasoline, why did you go in?
right. First of all, and then who goes and touches gasoline and then
I mean, maybe she thought it was like water or something, but if you smelled it, if something is doused in gasoline, that's the part that's like difficult to give the benefit of the doubt to, right?
yeah.
Like that it was actually doused in gasoline and you smelled it. But
Mm-hmm.
we find out like later on that Sidwell did it, or he had his people do it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the problem I'm finding. It's like lack of standing on business hospital. The only person that's standing on business is Portia. Like Sid, it's just like everybody has to have an excuse or a reason. Sid was a bad mobster, but he didn't want the kids involved. Like, ugh, I'm not trying to hear it. I just don't. But I do want to like rewind back to Natalia.
Yeah.
So we find like obviously because Marco had helped Christina, he couldn't go and help his mother. Um Gets to the hospital, they can't revive her. He Lucas is there trying to be helpful and he's talking to Elizabeth. He's like, I think it's a mob war with my family on one side and Marco's family on the other. Okay, calm down, Mercutio. Like it was giving like Capulet, like Montague, and you're not even really Sonny's family. It was just y'all put a little bit too much sauce on that for me with
Yeah.
Lucas.
But it seems like it has, because that's why I went back to the Christina thing, because it seems like Sonny and Sidwell either consciously or unconsciously placed themselves in an actual mob war with these two events. Someone from Sonny's family got in a situation where they could have got killed, and then someone from Sidwell's family actually did get killed. And now they're just like, now they're gonna have to retaliate against each other. Well, Marco almost a little bit by pointing the finger at Sonny and saying Sonny's the one that killed my mom.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, now it's definitely a mob war. Before it was just mob conversations. and now it's a
Yeah,
definite war.
yeah. I mean, so as the Christina fire is happening, like, we
Hmm.
have this is still the backdrop of the kind of after party, if you will, of the christening. And
Yeah.
so you alluded to this. We have Michael having flashbacks. And I mean, we got the flashbacks of the stunt double in the house burned
Right.
up. And we also hear a new piece of information, which is that Michael is not fully healed. He still has like nerve
Yeah.
damage. He still is in pain. He said he wanted to have a drink, and he poured it, but then he was like, "Oh yeah, I took pain pills, and so I couldn't have it." And so he confides in Sasha in a way that I don't even think he's confided in Carly or Jason or Jocelyn. Hashtag
Right.
Misha Rising. Uh, but but yeah, I mean, I feel like this is probably setting us up for long term for us to hear something more about
Hmm.
Michael in this pain.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. And it does like it does make sense in a sense because like even when you just do like a little burn, even though
Right.
it feels like it keeps throbbing and throbbing, even though it doesn't look like there's something happening, and maybe that is definitely what happens is that there's nerve damage. And
Yeah.
imagine having that deep of oof, oof.
Yeah.
I'm good. Ugh, sorry.
Yeah.
That's probably like the worst thing that can happen to you as far as like long-term damage is having a fire that and traumatic at the same time. I imagine he's like I would have to go through counseling in
Oh,
order to deal with that.
forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, so this kind of mob situation is brewing. Michael makes his declaration to Sasha that like his kids will never go through this. Um, we are then see Tracy kind of running up on Geo to be like, you can't be around Sonny because it's dangerous. And it did feel like Geo was maybe kind of listening or thinking something about it or was kind of affected. He has been really clear that Sonny is like one of the only people in that family that he is not mad at.
Hmm.
Um, People have been calling him irrational and like I get it. I'm not particularly mad at Gio. He had his whole life upended. He doesn't know who to trust. And I'm
Hmm.
not mad at him for being like, I'm actually not, even if you didn't do anything to me, I might not trust Neil. Like, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, right. For at least a minute. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
'cause- yeah.
This is we because it's a soap and I get it, like we move on from like some of the trauma stuff, so but like and be, it's just so much. You've been lied
Oh
to your whole
yeah.
life by people because let me back up and say I don't consider Brooklyn putting a kid up for adoption a lie. I
Mhm.
don't think of Brooklyn as somebody who lied to Gia. I think putting your child up for adoption is like a choice that people can make. I do not see that as a lie. Um, I see what Lois and Gloria did as a lie.
Oh yeah.
Um, so and Gio's mom, what she did because she knew, that Brooklyn and Dante were the parents and didn't say anything, which is tough. But I don't consider anybody else to be like a liar to him. But I'm fine with him trusting Sonny. To be honest, I get it.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. If anything, yeah, but Gio's feelings are his feelings. Right now, he's not feeling anybody, except for Emma and
Yeah,
Sunny. I'm a little sad that I'm definitely sad that he's not going to play the violin anymore. But hopefully he, does take what Emma said into account. Like maybe you'll pick it up back up again and,
right.
not to give up on it. I'm
Yeah,
hoping he does listen to that because the character has a lot of talent that needs, should be, fostered.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I don't know. GH can afford him to play on this
Right.
show.
Maybe they're like, okay, yeah, we can't.
This is an extra skill, okay? This is not just lump in. I need some extra coin for this, and I wouldn't be mad
Right.
at it. Um,
Right.
but I do want to say I keep going back to this because I wanted to. get your opinion. So Eva LaRue had done an exit interview and she talked a lot about like why Natalia didn't stick. I I think I think that she wasn't necessarily wrong, but she wasn't all the way right. She talked about like the homophobia piece of it. I don't know if I think that that's why she never stuck. I
What was
think it
the
was the
piece?
unapologetic homophobia.
Okay.
It was in Soap Opera Digest.
Okay.
And so she just talked about like how it was really tough to play a character that people didn't like. That that hadn't been her experience in that way. But yeah, I think I think that if she would have apologized to Blaze and tried to get back in her good graces and then didn't double down on the homophobia with her son, I'm not sure why the powers that be made that decision with her. And I
Hmm.
think that they should have tried her with somebody that wasn't Sonny. I never saw it for her and Sonny, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, but I didn't necessarily see her getting close to any other guy on the show. And maybe that, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they should have had her Kim test with everybody before they chose Sunny. And they didn't really do that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I Even if it was, I think she could have been, if she wasn't such a vile homophobe, right? Like
right.
if we would have seen her trying with her children and even like making up with Blaze or whatever off screen, it would have been possible for her to be paired with Sidwell, and like she's bitter at Sunny and she could have been around for a little
Yeah,
bit longer. But
yeah,
there was just nothing to that character that was likable. And I don't want them to think that it was just like this one piece because people do it was like trying to pass over her homophobia onto Ava, being like, oh
yeah.
well, yeah, you said it, but Ava, no, no,
No,
no,
Ava just
no.
aired it out. She didn't condone it. And I think part of the reason why she aired it out is because she really didn't condone it. So,
And they
yeah.
were doing that weird thing with Ava and Sunny. But yeah, like
Hmm.
it was just I was like, no, this is not complete. So I would recommend folks like read that article and let us know what you think.
Hmm.
Um, we had a temp Maxi because as I named homophobic Maria Santos told Brooklyn on her way out, you know, in all sense of the word, that that's about the Sunny Dirty Money investment. It's so unbelievable because Sunny is so rich and so powerful that they're like, yeah, it was a clerical error. Like we accidentally moved the wrong money from the wrong account.
Like, who did that?
Could
Someone
you
who's
label
brand new.
accounts? Right, label them accounts.
Right.
My
You
le-
had to,
my checkings, savings, and CD are all labeled
yeah,
very separately, and I'm poor. Sonny, you're
right,
rich.
right.
Label them
Like, who would
accounts.
do that? Yeah, that was crazy.
And so this whole storyline now is being based on mislabeled accounts. Maxie and Tracy want to like go tell the police right away. Brooklyn obviously doesn't. I don't know what happens. I don't know how it happens. It's been confusing to me as to like what the next steps of this story are. So I guess we're just along for the ride. But I I feel disinterested in it.
All of it to me points to reasons why, even though Sunny tends to go back and forth, but for me, it spells reasons why he should actually just quit the mom. For me, personally. But I don't know if that's where they're going to end up going. But yeah, I would have preferred it for him to quit on his own and make that his own decision, and then we just see the fallout of it versus him kind of going back and forth, and then we're seeing this mob war happening. And I'm upset. We didn't really, yeah, I keep skipping around on you, but having his indecision is having all kinds of fallout for the community. Whereas, for Laura, trying to figure out what to do for mayor, and her decision on whether or not she should, cut Sunny off, or, even one of our faves having to leave town. So it's just like I need him to make a decision. I need the writers to make a decision where they're gonna go.
Yeah. So okay. Um, I want to talk about a couple of things. So I do want to talk. So Miss
Yeah,
Wu comes to see Sidwell. It was good to see
yeah,
Lydia look back on TV because she's
yeah,
so good. But she ends up coming in to see Sidwell. Sidwell essentially tells her that he's about to frame her for
yeah,
um the fire. Now
right,
again, he never meant for Christina to be caught up in it,
yeah,
but he got Miss Wu's people, paid them off, whatever, whatever. She even said, this was silly to me. I have a relationship with Sonny. I've worked really hard to stay on Sonny's good side, and there's no reason for me to start this mob war with him. So I'm gonna just talk
hmm
to him. And Sidwell was like, "Nah, I'm gonna flip your man." Even still, she does not trust you.
right,
He does not trust you. Why would he trust you? If she went to tell him what happened, this sounds like some shit you would do. Like,
yes.
what are we talking about?
He's like he's automatically thinking it's you and not Selena. Like he's already in the mindset.
And
So
even
if
when it comes, oh,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So if she did actually say, "Oh, I'm being set up by Sidwell," he would believe that. He would definitely believe that.
And Jason already believes it. So Jason has this conversation with Dante. Dante's like, and actually, this is another example. Dante, recuse yourself, bro. I don't. I know
Right.
there's not enough police officers. Where's that really cute one? Recuse yourself. But he's like,
Yes.
oh well, should I go look for these people? Are they already buried? What do you think Jason's gonna tell you?
Right.
Yes, cop.
I know we're close now, and we live together, so I'm gonna have to tell you everything now. No, Jason don't work like that.
No. So, um, even though it was Miss Wu's men found and like all of that, Jason still knew that it was Sidwell. Like because it didn't even make sense. I am glad that they never made Jason stupid enough to like not understand it. But it also then
Hmm.
didn't make any sense to exit Miss Wu in that way. What was the
Right.
purpose of that if it was not going to be believed anyway?
Yeah. But at the very least, I'm glad that she wasn't killed off.
Yeah,
At
for
least she
sure.
could come back.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And we need her back. 100% need her
yes.
back. Um,
Right.
so then we look, and I do want to just talk about what it means to take Sunny down. I think they have not written the mob correctly in years. I talked about it with Tara from Port Misery a bunch because she like is a real big fan of Sunny's. And so we've been talking about just like basically they haven't written Sunny correctly since the Ron era. So that was like what 2014, something like that.
Mhm.
It they make this big deal about having all this security around Sunny and like Daisy's christening. So you did that, but Christina don't got security.
Mm-mm.
Michael got caught up in a mob thing, and you're telling me your children, even if they weren't the targets, they should still have security details. You're great. Like
Yeah.
I remember this. Jocelyn used to have security details. It used to be. I've talked about this many times. I'm gonna mention Brandon again. Trina and Cameron got close because Jocelyn and or not Dev were on lockdown
Right.
because of mob stuff. Like, if we're gonna tell mob stories, like, let's make sure that we're actually telling mob stories. Make them make sense, make them connect. Not just like, okay, guess we're gonna tell it. No, tell the whole thing. And if you're too lazy to tell the whole thing, then to your point, don't tell it at all.
Hmm.
So now we have a
Yes.
plot in motion to take Sunny down. We find out that Jocelyn is upset and she has like now revealed that her whole point of joining the WSB was her motive was to take Sunny down. And it was like the guy, Timu Dex, was like, I thought it was because of your ex-boyfriend or your boyfriend who died. And she's like, well, I mean, that's part of it, but don't erase Dex like that. It's nasty. It's nasty work.
Timu deaths. I mean,
How do
and
you,
then I would think Dex would actually be even more of a reason to go after Sonny. She could, the writers could have it where she still hasn't let go of how Sonny has affected Dex's life. That could be even more of incentive, but they didn't do that.
Okay. I just don't want that for Joss. I actually like the character of Joss. I think that she
Hmm.
is better when she does not go up against Sunny. I
Yeah.
think the mob thing for me is a bust. Um, and so I don't understand how being like a tenured position or whatever classified position at the WSB would help you take Sunny down. The WSB has been in existence forever. They do international like work. They would try to take down Sidwell before they try to take down a local mob boss. What are we talking about? And how
Oh,
many times
yeah.
has Jocelyn been involved in the conversations that are like, if it's not Sunny, then it's somebody worse. If it's not Sunny, then
Hmm.
your family's involved. Why do we have Jocelyn trying to take down Michael's dad, trying to take down Donna and Avery's dad? Nobody wants to see it, and it's not a good look for Jocelyn's character because y'all don't know how to make Sunny stand on business. Michael was burnt because of Sunny. The thing that happened to Christina was because of Sunny. So if Carly is not gonna be mad and we don't see this like other distancing, then you just have Jocelyn out here looking stupid.
Jocelyn and Alexis, though. Alexis
Well, Alexis is
constantly so.
consistent.
Yeah, she's consistent, and I wrote, I don't like her. I don't care if she's right. I just wrote, I don't like her. She's annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I mean, I yes, I think all of that is right. I am not a Sunny stan. I like Sunny. I think for the
mhm.
sake of the show, you know what I mean. Like I get it. I'm pretty simple. If you put the leads of a show in front of me, like they're the leads of the show. So I'm never. And I also understand how important the character of Sunny is to like General Hospital. I see people say like, "Oh, well, it's time to exit Sunny. It's time to exit." No, it's not. Do
No,
you remember when they went on the Jennifer Hudson show? The people were like, "Oh my God, is that Sonny and Carly? Oh my God, is that Finola Hughes?" Like that's how people know the show. They know that right now it's like Sonny and Laura and
right.
right and Anna. Those are the people like those are like kind of like the big three of like legacy of the show to me. Like Carly obviously is in that if you want to do like a Mount Rushmore, which I wouldn't do because selling land. But if you wanted to do a big four, but like Sunny is like central to the show, and writing a good story around Sunny is central to the show. Right now, we're not seeing good story around Sunny because instead of like allowing people to be mad at him, making him a town pariah, Laura shouldn't even. I'm sorry, this is because I'm tired. I'm scrambled. Laura shouldn't even be questioning whether or not she should be messing with him. You're the
Hmm.
mayor. No,
You're
you should
not.
not be publicly messing with a mob boss. You shouldn't be meeting out to have pools, like drink by the pool with a mob boss. No, you should not. And that's
Yeah.
okay. That doesn't mean I don't like Sunny. Everybody on screen doesn't have to like somebody or like that actually doesn't make sense. People should have beef with him.
Hmm.
Somebody besides Portia stand on business. And Joss, this is not standing on business because this is like a rewrite of her story. She joined
You
this
mean
stuff,
Jordan?
huh?
You mean Jordan?
No, I meant Portia.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to I'm team Portia.
Oh, you
um
mean Portia standing on business around her marriage, not around
yeah,
Sunny.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
well, yes,
I
yes,
was
yes,
like,
yes, yes. Somebody in the town of Port Charles besides Portia need to stand on business, period. But
right.
yeah, with Joss, this feels like a rewrite. And it also is like when you're gonna introduce something like like reintroduce or center something like the WSB, have Jocelyn move over and have this career change, you actually have to have like really good writing around it, and we don't have it. And then y'all
No.
had her kiss Timu Dex, and I was like,
Emu ducks, because I can't remember the dude's name. His name is Vaughn because of the
I know it.
show
Alias. I
Alias.
know it because of Alias, and it annoys me every single time.
Teeny Moss. Teeny Duck.
I just like I love the character of Jocelyn. I always have. I adore Eden as
Mhm.
an actress. I think she's grown so much, and so I enjoy being able to enjoy Jocelyn. I don't enjoy when Jocelyn goes up against Sonny because it's always silly.
Yeah,
It's
it is
always
silly.
silly. And at the end of the day, Sonny's not gonna lose. So you got everybody's gonna either have to like capitulate and like apologize or be on the wrong side of him in a silly story. And I just didn't want that for Jocelyn. I would have
Yeah,
loved
I
for
mean,
Jocelyn to be like, I got bigger fish to fry, or her try to find who did the fire, you know?
yeah, I mean, she's been mad at Sunny for how long, how many times, and she always ends up forgiving him for some reason. So it just now it seems really silly. And she's not gonna get far enough in the WSB for her to be able to make WSB point their attention to Sunny. Like it's not,
Yeah.
she has to be the actual director of WSB in order for that to happen. And it's not going to happen in Sunny's lifetime. So by the time she does that, Sunny will be gone. So
And it also is just like, okay, Jocelyn, then go volunteer for the Metro Detective his way as peers. Like,
yeah.
it's just, it's not interesting. I'm sorry. How many times do we have to do a story about taking Sunny down? It's not
Hmm.
interesting. It just isn't. This DA, because then she goes in and talks to him and she shook up, and oh my God, here's another brownhead DA, a brownhead police officer who gonna fall for Sunny.
Right.
Okay, enough, enough. Well, actually, let's move on. Let's move on because I can talk about this forever
Yeah.
and babble about it. Sorry about that, y'all. Portia, Curtis, and Jordan. So some kind of
Woo!
way, Portia and Curtis are arguing down. Jordan is talking to Anna about like her feelings and how she's gonna go talk to Curtis. And she walks in on Curtis and Portia about to make up on the desk.
Bound chicka round. Interrupted.
Exactly. And then she gets flustered and runs away. And Portia made that face. It was like, yep,
Yeah, I did it.
I did it.
And
Because this is my husband. What are we talking
right.
about? So anyway, then Portia and Curtis get into a fight. And he is mad because she set this up and whatever, whatever. Free both of these women from Curtis.
I appreciate Portia standing on business, but at the same time, when she said it's not going to happen, not now, not ever, that kind of just opened the doors for it to actually happen. Because that's how soaps generally work. When you make
Right.
some sort of declarative statement like that, that means it's going to happen. So she and so in Curtis's idea or terms, it's like she's the one that's pushing him away and not Jordan. So I can totally see it happening. And unfortunately, I don't think they're very long together.
No, no. I don't even really particularly care about Curtis and Portia together.
Yeah,
I just, this has been over for a long time. We
yeah.
haven't seen evidence of Jordan and Portia having like beef. Jordan, if you felt this way about Portia, why was you all up in her house? You've been to her house multiple times. Like y'all
Hmm.
have been in the vicinity of each other multiple times. So now all of a sudden you got all this angst built up around what she did to your marriage. And I'm not even saying that Jordan shouldn't be mad about this. Like, yeah, Jordan, Portia did mess. Portia was waiting in the wings when you had marital issues.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, either you forgive that or you don't. Like, and Portia is not owed by anybody but Curtis. Jordan does not owe
Mhm.
Portia anything. However, comma, I don't understand what kind of friend Anna is being because if my girl comes to me and is like, girl, my ex-husband is having problems with his current wife and we going down memory lane, I'm going to say,
Step
he broke up
away.
with you for this reason.
Yeah,
Right. Step away.
step away.
You don't want to go back into the same cycle with him that you just came
Yeah.
out of.
Curtis is
He
not
is married.
actually, Curtis is a toxic man, as
Yes.
far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
He's very
100%.
opinionated, very much a hypocrite. He judges women that he's with and does not follow that same, does not give that same respect. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. And if, yeah, like you said, if it was my friend, I would be like, go. I'm not tolerating this behavior from
No.
you at all. You left a good man, Isaiah, so you
That's a
could
good
go
man,
and
Savannah.
yeah, in order to pretend to be this undercover cop because you're not an undercover cop anymore, but you're pretending to be an undercover cop, and now you're chasing after your ex, who's horrible.
I hate it so much because why did we waste?
Right.
Why did we waste Jordan and Isaiah? This was a waste. It is frustrating. It's made me so mad. And Curtis does not deserve either of these women. It's
No.
crazy. Like, get him out of here. So annoying. But yeah, and it was also like everybody being so enraged. It also didn't make sense because Portia was like, "Oh yeah, I told Jordan to meet you here." Well, that didn't track with the conversation that Jordan was having with Anna.
Hmm.
Anna told Jordan to go there, but I guess continuity errors. But he mad that Portia set it up. Why? First of all, Jordan should have knocked. Second of all, why are you mad that you got caught in the moment with your wife by your ex?
Right. It shouldn't bother you.
It shouldn't bother you. Jordan, you
Really.
should. Jordan calling Portia the B word. Whoa,
Right.
whoa, whoa. Hold up, girlfriend. Like, what are we doing? Why are
Hmm.
you calling this woman out of her name for like protecting her
Protecting
daughter
her
the same
marriage.
way, protecting her daughter and her marriage, but protecting her daughter the same way you protect your son?
Hmm.
I don't feel bad for her. Well, she never asked you to. She asked for your sympathy. And for Anna to sit up there and do the same thing, it's one thing. Look, if I have a good girlfriend, I'm riding with her and for her no matter what. But I'm not riding for delusion. And I'm certainly not going to be like bad mouthing this other grown woman with you who I don't have no problems with. I'm going to
Hmm.
listen. I'm going to reframe. I'm going to ask you how you feel. I'm going to be like, are you stressed about her, not about him? But I'm not going to be like agreeing with you that somebody, like another grown woman, is wrong. And I feel strongly about Portia because I feel like Portia as a character has never gotten a fair shake. She doesn't really get a lot of point of view. She's like we don't really see her doing anything that's likable. It's just all trainer, 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 trainer. And I think that part of the reason I didn't hate this for her is because this is one of the even though like Trina's name comes up, the fighting for her marriage is like one of the few things that we see that's not just about Trina for her. She has a motivation outside of that.
Yeah. Even
But I hope
though
she
she
loses
just,
that fight for her marriage.
oh,
Go get somebody else. Isaiah's free.
yes.
Um, we got Trina and Kai. It did not come up this week that Kai snitched, but we do have Trina like telling him to be careful. We have Willow walking up to him at the pool and being like,
Hmm.
"Oh my God, you did all this stuff for Drew. It was so good. Thank you so much. You have such a big um like a future ahead of you." Willow, shut up.
I'm sorry. I couldn't stand to watch those scenes because knowing that Kai is a traitor, in my
Yep.
head, I was just like, traitor, 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 traitor. Are you gonna sit there and talk about, I forgot what I wrote, But I was like, how you going to like just sit there and be chilling with Trina, knowing that you portrayed her father for Drew? You know, it's sick. I'm like, I don't like you anymore. I can't like you anymore as a person. And I'm sorry. And it's
Yep.
too early in his entry into the show for me to not like him. It's too early in their relationship for me to not like him. But unfortunately, GH writers, you put it there. I do not like this man anymore.
So unfortunately, that's where we are.
That's where we're at right now.
That's where we are with it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
There's no,
I
yeah.
it was somebody, maybe it was Brett, who I've talked about a couple of times from Twitter. He does like a
Mhm.
lot of him and Rachel. Shout out to Rachel as well. They do a lot of like tracking of the show, like very much like the bookkeepers, knowledge keepers, statisticians of the show. And so Brett had pulled these numbers around like the fact that I don't think Kai has ever been in an episode without Trina. So he might
Mhm.
have been in scenes without her, but he's never been in an episode without Trina. And if you track Trina's conversations over the last few months, they've been in some capacity about Kai. And that's not actually how you build a character like Trina and like give her what she deserves. And it's not how you build a new character like Kai. This is
Mhm.
actually the same issue that people had with Dex. That they didn't know who he was. He didn't have family. He just showed up. With Kai, it's even worse because at least like with Dex, he had like this job. He had Sonny. He had Michael. Whatever. And then he then also like fit into that friend group. And him and Eden had crazy they had crazy chemistry. So it was like at least that could sustain you. I don't see that same type of chemistry from like the Trina and Kai actors. So without a story and to like essentially dull Trina's light, I it's not good.
No,
And
no.
it's not good for either of the characters. It's not just not good for Trina, it's not good for Kai. Now
Right.
you have not told us anything about him. He just basically is a kid who popped up from Cabbage Patch, went through surgery, ain't FaceTime with his mama, nothing, just zero things. We have no idea where he came from. He has no other friends, nothing about him. I didn't care about football at all, so that didn't break my heart that he couldn't go back to it. There was like just little things that they could have done to tweak this. And I understand this could have been stereotypical, but they could have had him, I'm playing football to help my family out of their circumstances. And so then when he didn't have football anymore, he's like, oh my God, what am I going to do for my family? At least that's a motivation that's not just like, I like football. And then we could have seen him like gravitate towards this thing with Drew and politics since he's like, oh my God, this is like my new way to take care of my family. This thing was snatched away from me. Now I can like be in politics, take care of my family this way. And then he could have betrayed Trina and like her trust. I wouldn't have been happy about it, but I could have understood it. Because we all understand the motivation of like having to pick between taking care of your family and then taking care of like this new found relationship. Not that we understand it, but it's a dynamic that we've seen before. Now he's just a snitch for just to be snitching.
They basically painted him into a corner of us
They
not caring
have,
about him at all.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then put him with Drew, who everybody hates. So there's
Yeah.
not anything even like remotely rootable about Drew
Right.
or this relationship that you have with Drew. It's bad.
Uh, it is bad.
Um, Emma and Gio are still. I just put their name because we saw them. I was happy to see them. They're still plugging away with this plan on trying to take down this professor. They have their new dog Outback, which I thought was cute. But yeah, they still have this plan, and somehow that intersects with Jocelyn. I don't think it intersects with her plan to take Sunny down, but whatever.
And then there's still, close and loyal to each other. Emma was there when Tracy was
Yeah.
trying to bring down Geo. She's like, he's just going to tell me anyway, so you might as well let me stay. And so she was able to hear all that. Look them together. They're really great and they're cute. They're adorable.
Same,
Shout out
same.
to shout out to Emma and her takedown of Britt.
Oh, yeah, so we're going there next. So we had this thing that happened last week, and
Mhm,
it felt weird that they didn't pick up on it until like late this past week,
mhm,
where Danny and Rocco found Brooklyn's
mhm,
paperwork with Rocco's birth certificates. And so essentially proves that he had two birth certificates. He doesn't really know the story of his birth yet. And so he got really confused. He knew about Emma's like past with Britt, and so he
mhm.
asked Emma about it. And go ahead, let's take it away to talk about the takedown.
So I had like a bunch of nicknames for Brit. She had like the Britchiness, Queen of whatever, I don't know. But she went through them all and she was
Wicked Witch
very
of the West,
much
Wicked
Wicked
Witch of
Brit
the West Ward.
Westward. And she did not skip a beat in her hatred of Brit. And it was cool and great and definitely a shout out to past and the history. And so a lot of people were sharing actual past videos of Emma and Britt, as particularly the one where they're in the coffee shop and Britt's trying to get Emma to like her, and Emma, Emma was like, I don't like you. I don't want you to be with my dad. She was very stubborn about it. And Brett was like, well, I don't like you either. And a lot of people are polarized on whether or not they hate Brett because she was mean, quote unquote, mean to Emma. But I think Emma was giving it right back to her. So I was just like, I didn't really hate Brett. I thought it was funny that somebody actually talked back to this child because Emma was the darling of Port Charles. No one contradicted her. No one ever questioned her. Everyone just loved her. And here was Britt talking about, I don't like you either. Hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, my position has always been all the West Wards could go.
Yeah.
So I've never been a Brit fan. Um, yeah, I'm just not a fan. And I was one of the people who was like, "Why are you talking to this kid like this?" It was funny, but I was like,
Was hilarious.
"Okay, weirdo."
Um, and
But
so yeah,
yeah,
so for Emma, so for grown Emma to still carry that bitterness and remembering is great. I loved it. I love the history of it. And if Britt actually is coming back to the show as Britt, it would be great to see scenes between Emma and her. I think that would be fun storyline to just kind of carry over. But yeah.
I guess that also makes Emma another character who stands on business. So my
Yeah.
apologies to you, Emma. I
Emma
forgot about that.
Emma does
Um,
stand on business.
I
100%.
am not interested. I'm not even interested in Brit's return. I know that
uh,
there was an article that came out in one of the soap pieces that were like talking about how like she came back or she's coming back or whatever. Part of my issue, I never liked Brit, so that's one thing. No shade to like the actress, and just she just never like a character I cared for. That whole bloodline truly could go. You know, take Willow with it. Um, and I'd be fine. Nina for sure could go. Wouldn't shed a tear. Um, and I think that for me also, like for the real world piece of it, that the actress requested for her character to die, and we had to do all of this like pomp and circumstance for her. We did more for her than we did for, I'm sorry, Kelly Monaco.
mhm.
Like she had her picture on the wall. They buying the rights to songs. We have a karaoke party. She got a hero's exit by like saving Jocelyn's life. All of this to then turn around and be like a couple years later to be like, just kidding. No, never mind. She's here. I don't know if it's Brit or not, but I know that there was like these criticisms around like Jonathan Jackson coming back and like what that meant. I'm biased, so you can call me that. You can say it in the comments, that's fine. Jonathan Jackson coming back to GH is very different than Brent Westmore coming back to Kelly coming back to GH. He grew up here. He is an institutional character, an institutional actor within this show. He has history within this show that looks very different than hers. And so if he drops in, or if there are other actors of his caliber who have long time characters drop in, that feels really different than somebody who was very much like, I'm out of here, goodbye. And now all of a sudden we have to welcome them back in. And she specifically said that she like part of the reason she left is because she wanted to be paired with Steve Burton and Steve Burton was gone. I'm sorry, girl. You know, no shade, but you're not the Kelly I wanted back. And it feels like that y'all are
Um,
just writing a story for somebody to come back when there are other there's story being left on the table for other people who could be having it.
True. I mean, GH does have an issue with stunt casting and not necessarily doing right by the actors. And so, but I'm not one who did not like Brit. I did like Brit. I enjoyed her. I enjoyed the comedy. We'll see. Um, I don't know how I feel about her, requesting to leave and coming back. It may not be her requesting to come back. We don't actually know the story.
She said
Could
she
have been,
requested to come back.
oh, okay. Well, whatever. It could be she's like one of those actors. So there's a lot of soap actors that do that. They get bored at where they're at and then they leave.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. Whatever. So we'll see what that goes on. But right now, I'm like I said, I think I would enjoy seeing her and Emma chop it up again, and we'll see.
Mhm.
But we don't actually know how she's coming back. So we'll have
Yeah.
to wait and see on that.
And
Um,
I also want to be clear that I don't mean I'm fine with
yeah,
people coming and going. That's not my
yeah.
issue. My issue was that there was all that pomp and circumstance about her leaving. And she, to me, was not a character that, like, I was confused why she had all that pomp and circumstance about leaving in the first place. But
Hmm.
she's not, to me personally, an institutional enough character to, like, have warranted all that she got on her exit that she requested. Like, she requested to go out that way to then turn around and be like, oh well, guess I'm gonna come back. I'm fine. People can leave their jobs. Like, people go back and forth all the time. But for me, that was the piece. But we'll see. I mean, I'm gonna still be watching it, obviously. But yeah, so we'll see what happens and how it happens. But that was my point. I just didn't particularly care for the request to leave and the request to come back.
It happened.
Yeah.
So ended up Emma's telling Gio and Rocco that, kind of hinted at that, yes, it's confirmed that Brent at least did carry Rocco. So now Rocco is, but she wouldn't give much more information because she was a child, so she doesn't really know all the information, and encourages him to go and find out more from his parents. And so that's where we're leaving off at Rocco confronting Lulu and being like, did Britt give birth to me? And so we'll have to wait until Monday to see how that conversation goes.
Yeah, this is another piece of the not standing on business. This is my whole thing. So I hate the idea, and this also is because I've been watching Days a lot lately. And Days is just like somebody a villain, they a villain. Somebody did some mess, they did some mess. GH always tries to manipulate how you feel about a character. That is like a flaw that the
Hmm.
show has. And so they don't want people to do too much because they want their stands to be like, oh, this person was not wrong or this person was wrong. So we had Brooklyn do all of this. I don't know why in the world she would have told Rocco that anyway. Why you pulling this stuff anyway? And then for her, all for it to be bounced, like rolled back to be like, I would never do that. I love Rocco. But Rocco found out because it was accidentally left out. If y'all was gonna have Brooklyn do that, then have Brooklyn do that. But y'all didn't because there's not enough mess that happens on the show. This is part of also the reason that Drew is so abhorrent, that the show doesn't do enough. And so when you have somebody who does something that's like out of pocket, it becomes like they blow it up to extremely out of pocket. So The same thing with Lulu. It was like, oh, I just wanted to know about Dante, Dante's kid. No, you didn't. You didn't like Brooklyn. You thought you had a one up on her. You thought she was a bad person. And Dante, his kid was the icing on the cake. But she was doing everything else around that to like be a mess and harass her. Brooklyn, y'all like Lulu. This was a mess. You shouldn't have even thought about including Rocco in this. Because when would like again with the lying piece, when do you tell your baby that you was a stolen embryo kid? At what age do you have that you sit down and have that conversation?
Exactly. And then her knowing that Britt is dead, why would you even need to? It's not like he's going to run into her in the streets and she's going to look at him like kind of funny. That's not going to happen because according to GH World, Britt is dead. So she has no reason to tell him that at all. So it's not exactly a lie.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
It was just again, this is like nobody they don't want to make anybody the bad guy. They don't want any of these things. It's okay. People can be the bad people, and then you do something else, and then you're not the bad person anymore. But they don't want to do that, and so it didn't make any sense to me, and I wasn't interested. But we'll see. Finn is a great little actor. I think he will knock the scenes out of the park next week, with
Hmm.
both Lulu and with Dante, and we will see what happens from there. And we'll see what fallout there is for Brooklyn because this was foul. And Maxie even told her it was foul. She knew it was foul. We'll see what Chase says. So there should be some drama that comes from this.
Hmm. Definitely.
And then finally, the last thing I have is Willow being a creeper. So Willow knew that Wiley had swimming lessons at the Metro Court. She shows up. Um, she gets him riled up, even though Michael had told her to leave first. She gets him riled up, and then Wiley's like, "I hate the judge." I saw people being like, "Why is Wiley? Why doesn't he get swimming lessons private?" Because of the plot. For the plot.
It's for the
Like
plot.
there are real things that like argue about and be mad about on this show. The Quartermain kids have always done public things. They all are Lila's kids. They all do, public whatever. Like they did it for the plot.
So Willow has this conversation. I think she was talking to Kai about being loyal. And she says
Hmm.
something, anyone who stands by you in the hard times will always stick by you or something. And I was like, ma'am, Michael has always stuck by you, but you decided to go towards Drew anyway.
Sure
I'm like,
did.
Lord, ma'am. So again, being a hypocrite,
Hmm.
but those were very heartwarming scenes, I guess, that she had with Wiley.
I
Wiley,
wasn't
I love
moved.
you. Love you, Wiley. Oh.
To me, this is another example of putting herself above her children
Yep.
because you did nothing but upset him
Right.
and confuse him. So now he has to go home and be mad that he can't be with you and and disrupt what he got going on when it's already hard enough that this has happened. And so I wish that we would have had another scene with that judge with the whole Sidwell thing of her being like, you paid me, but this is an easy decision. I would have ruled this way anyway. Because I hate the ambiguity or the idea that it wasn't right that Michael got those kids. Willow has done nothing but prove herself to be a bad mother. And for
Right.
every reason that the judge ran down. If
Yep.
Willow would have cheated on Michael and like moved into her own home and had her relationship with Drew that was separate from her kids and did all those things, then I would never be like, this mother shouldn't have her children. That's not what she did. She was selfish. She put herself in this essentially another cult.
Hmm.
And then she turned around and didn't believe her kid over a man. Didn't even
Hmm.
like for once like take a moment because you know him so well. That's dangerous. I don't want you around the kids until you get your life together.
Right.
Because look what you're gonna do. You're gonna just upset them. You're gonna not be good to them and not care for their emotional well-being. Get out of here, Willow.
Tree.
Tree. Not even a J. Um, yeah, we can talk about hot takes. I saw that you had commented on this. And so I just wanted to bring this conversation to the pod. About actors getting kind of into it with fans. So you watch Y&R. Do you want to kind of preview what was said?
Okay, so there's this new actor on Young and the Restless called Damian Kane, and he's kind of chopping it up with Lily Winters on Young and the Restless. And
Hmm.
so he, new to soaps, new to everything, and just jumping on social media and Twitter, and he's noticing that, soap fans on Twitter, harsh, they be talking about folks and stuff. And so he makes a comment about kind of like commenting on how negative some current soap fans are in comparison to soap fans in the past. He's like, I used to watch with my grandma and she was so sweet and yada yada, and she would never, or implying that, fans who watched the show back in the day would never comment so negatively about soaps the way that they're doing now. And so in response, he had like at least 40 or 50 people commenting, and and his responses to them, he made it kind of imply that people who comment on social on soaps now have some sort of past trauma that they're trying to exercise, and so that, folks are just being mean, but they also have psychological issues that they need to deal with. And so so I commented and I said, you know, the comments that you get on, soaps often depend on the um, platform. I'm saying that Twitter is mostly negative, and that's true. Twitter has become just this negative hellscape, period. But
Hmm.
then I also said, but so fans are really passionate about the story, and then so they're sharing their opinions, and they also can be the most loyal fans you'll ever see. So that was my comment, but it kind of blew up on social media, the fact that he had the gall to comment about commenters and comparing them and saying that they got psychological issues. There were
Yeah.
some of the well-known soap commenters made like essays about it and like I think somebody blogged about it. He ended up shutting down the comments, but he ended up saying it's great to have good discussion where people can just talk and not attack each other. But I'm not sure if he's seen all of the comments about his comment or what the fallout was, but it's been a little bit of a controversy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should have been a controversy. I think
Yeah,
because at first, I mean, we've talked about social media. I
yeah.
took Sunday Shift off Twitter because of like negativity. I was like, I actually, and I tweet a little bit from my own account about the show,
Hmm.
but I don't go back and forth with people. I don't like, I'm not fighting real people about fake people. Like, I'm just
Hmm.
not gonna do that. And so I just felt like, and I do miss tweeting from Sunday Shift sometimes. I'm like, oh, this is like
Hmm.
cool, or like we could have said whatever. But
Hmm.
I do not miss the negativity that comes from like it's never about we never talk bad about actors. So it's
Hmm.
truly like negativity and like personal attacks on us based on how
Hmm.
we feel about characters. And that I'm just like, we both have real jobs. We both have like stuff that we collectively do outside of this. I'm not trying to like get any of that, like get back or come back on our personal lives based on like how people feel about a soap character.
Hmm.
So that was ultimately why like I made the decision to take us off Twitter. And so when I saw the comment at first, I was almost inclined to be like, well, maybe. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was, but then I saw like the context and the follow-up, and I was like, oh no, bro, tripping. Partly because what you said. Soap fans are passionate. And
Mm-hmm.
so that passion is what keeps you employed. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of other mediums of shows, when things get bad, when things get bad on soaps, even you can tell from our comments, people like want to talk to us about how things can improve. Like
Mm-hmm.
we'll get into commentary back and forth about whatever. That's what loyal soap fans do. You know what happens in prime time when something's not good? People stop watching and people stop talking about it. People do not
And then the show,
engage.
and then the show gets canceled.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so
Yeah,
it's different.
people don't engage with it because
Mm-hmm.
people don't feel a community or a connection around the medium. They're just
Mm-hmm.
like, whatever, this is done. And so I also think that there's a difference between attacking actors
Mm-hmm.
versus like talking about characters. And it's not lost on me. I mean, I don't watch YNR, but I do know that Billy Flynn just went over to YNR as like a
Mm-hmm.
pretty popular recast,
Mm-hmm.
or from a popular pairing. And he is now gonna be like probably in competition with this man for a love interest. And
Yes.
so it's just interesting timing that you have all of this to now say about soap fans when it ain't looking good for you, bro. I just and I think people should be able to defend themselves. I also think you should log off sometimes. There have been times where women I've seen online defend themselves, and I'm like that's right. Give it to me. Like I've seen Eden do it. I've seen Laura Wright do it. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
like Brooke like people doing it for her.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I see people get themselves offline. When Eden was going through personal stuff, she said, "I'm taking this Twitter break. Y'all be good. Have fun
Mm-hmm.
over here." Um, there's a reason that Cynthia Watchhouse doesn't tweet. There's a reason that Becky Hurst doesn't tweet. There's a reason that Kelly Monaco doesn't tweet. And so if they were to get online to call people mentally ill, like
Not one of
do
those.
y'all know the way people talk about Brooke Kerr because of Portia? Imagine her getting online being like, you don't like Portia because you mentally ill. That's wild. So for me, I didn't like the diagnosis of people. I don't think that you should have to take disrespect, but I also think that like if people are like commenting about storyline or writing or things that are not doing, that are not personal, people have every right, excuse me, every right to do that because people want their show to be better so that their show does not get canceled. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of other shows don't have that kind of fan base.
Yeah, and I definitely thought it was definitely premature of him to do it because he hasn't been on the show that long. And he hasn't been in the genre that long. It's one thing to be watching it with your grandma. Grandma's not on social media. I'm pretty sure grandma probably had a lot of things to say about it,
Hmm.
in her own house.
Yeah.
But she wasn't on social media, and so you didn't get the benefit of actually seeing it. And so just to go on and to say, as someone who's so new, to say that people are just so negative and compared to the past, I don't think that's a fair comparison.
I don't
And
think it's true.
yeah, and it's not a fair comparison, and it may not be true. Like I think there was some other, like I think ABC had their own kind of talk chats outside of Twitter. I think I was on briefly, and we used to go to war
Yep.
on the show
Yeah.
on those chats.
Yeah.
But but your grandma and everybody else isn't the same. Your grandma may not have had a lot to say about the show. She might have just enjoyed it just to be enjoying it, but it doesn't mean that nobody else had things to say about it. And so he made I think, a very large leap in that diagnosis. And so, yeah, you're right. I think he should have taken a step back and chill. You don't criticize the
Yeah.
people that feed you.
Yeah.
So no.
It's also like you don't know your grandma might have been cussing people out and
Yeah.
didn't do it in front of you because you were a kid. The-
Right.
People used to. people, I want people to talk to like old school soap stars and know what they had to deal with in public when the medium was bigger. So when people would like know them, see them, whatever. Cameron Matthews just said somebody threw fruit at him in a grocery store. This is
Mhm.
not new. People have talked about their shows, people have yelled about their shows, people have gone back and forth about their shows. Twitter and like social and other social media makes it easier to see some of the negativity because it rises up, but it doesn't mean
Mhm.
that people haven't been talking that way. So
Right.
I think that that's also the misconception. People have been calling people out their name, have been mad about the show, have been doing all of these things since the like beginning of soaps. It's just easier to congregate now in one place and you see it differently. So I think that that's also just fundamentally like untrue that people didn't feel this way beforehand.
Yeah.
Ooh, excuse me. Okay. Do you have any other hot takes?
I did actually. There was a conversation I think Lucas was having. Oh, he was on his date with Marco and he was talking about how he couldn't cook and that he said his mom could cook, but that he and his sisters couldn't. And they were like,
Yeah.
yeah, we both got great hair, but we didn't get the cooking. And I was like, Lucas, I love you. I love you as a character, but your hair isn't that great. You're comparing your hair to Laura Wright's hair? I was like, you're just all right. You got all right hair. No, that's
I
silly,
thought you
but
were gonna
that was
say
my thought.
about them not actually being blood related. But I did love the Sam reference, and so yeah, I loved that.
Yeah, I know. I pick up on weird stuff because I'm a weirdo.
Anything
Oh.
else?
No, I think that was it. Except for my
Woohoo.
Alexis hate. That's
Oh,
it.
always. All right. Next week, Monday, Lulu is enraged. Sasha makes a horrifying discovery. Gio seeks a new perspective. Anna questions Sidwell. Cody and Brooklyn clear the air.
Hmm.
Tuesday, Brooklyn plays defense. So I'm guessing this is about the Rocco situation. Ava confides in Nina. Cody furthers his plan. Matt plays matchmaker.
Between
Ooh,
Michael and Sasha?
I don't
Oh,
know.
I had another question. What is Daisy's last name? Is it Daisy
And then tell
Corbett
us,
or Daisy Scorpio? What is her last
yeah, they didn't tell us. Daisy
name? Hmm.
Gilmore.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Gilmore.
yeah, we don't know. Liz and Portia catch up.
Mhm.
Alexis is impressed. Tuesday, Rick issues the invitation to Elizabeth. Drew cautions Willow. Felicia updates Curtis. Michael offers reassurance. Lucas makes a request of Carly. Thursday, Drew gets leverage against the enemy. Ugh, I do not want Drew to win anything. God. Um, Michael lays out his terms. Jordan is dubious about Portia's claims. Emma questions Jocelyn. Kai briefs Curtis.
Briefs
Mm,
Curtis. Oh, what?
mm. Friday, Trina is outraged. Anna consoles Emma. Tracy cautions Chase. Rocco makes a bold move. Lulu and Laura discuss family matters.
Mm.
So it started raining really loud. Uh, so that is the week.
Alrighty.
Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you for sticking around if you're still here at the end of the video. We will see you next week. Merch and
Bye.
coffee in the comments. Bye, y'all.